do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how
Introduce
you
me.
got into what you're doing?
Wow. Okay. Putting a lot of pressure on me here.
Oh no, you're
O-
fine.
Okay, no, so pretty much I've been into games since I've been about 10 years old, making my first games in the Games Factory 2, if anyone remembers that. And then I've just been dabbling in graphic design and game design ever since. I decided to do games design at Leeds Beckett University. I didn't know that I wanted to do environment art until I think my second year when my one of my lecturers got me into it. Um, so yeah, for my third year project, you can see that middle scene, the theatre. That was my final year project, and that's really my only finished environment so far.
Mm.
There is that house, but I did that first CGMA after uni. I thought maybe I'll learn something new from the CGMA course. I didn't. It was pretty much the same stuff that I already knew, so I kind of wasted £1,000. But
Oh no.
it's all right. My parents paid for it. No, no.
Oh man, dude, that's awesome. You're like, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, so one thing that I realized is you just got to put in the work, right? I
It's
think what I
true.
was seeking from that course is I would come out a brand new man. I would be the best environment artist ever, but it's like going to the gym, right? If you know how to do an exercise, but you don't actually do the exercise, you're not going to get big. So you just, yeah,
I love it.
I'm at, I'm at the stage of just putting the grind in at the moment. So
Nice.
yeah,
Okay, so
um,
yeah, so
yeah.
you've got three pieces in here, right? Did you want me to look at any of these three, or do you want to just kind of dig into the thing you're currently working on?
Um,
Like if maybe there's something you want to get out of these three as well.
yeah, I guess you could, if anything, look at the middle one because the Dirty Robin. I mean, it's kind of whatever. And I know that the house is not finished, so that
Mm.
one's just in there, because it is to have something in there. So Curtain Call is the only close to finished environment that I've done. It's the first one that I've done, and
Environments like this are quite difficult to do because like I always want to say, "Oh, the chairs look really dark," but the reality is when you're at a place like this, the chairs do
they are.
kind of look dark.
Mm,
It's weird. I guess maybe just because of the way that they're leaned back and all the lighting is above, so they just get naturally shadowed.
yeah, that's interesting way of thinking about it.
Um, oh, this is cool with the lights, the like a bluish lights on the top there.
Yeah,
So everything is very warm. There's a lot of warm colors, and
yeah.
there's a big focus. Okay, this is on Unreal as well. There's a big focus on micro information. It looks like you're using detail normals.
Mm, it's just all substance painted as
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like, man, I probably talk about it way too much, but detail normals are freaking everything. They'll make anything look higher resolution.
what do you
Um,
mean exactly
mm.
by detailed normal?
So a detail normal, like imagine, so for your chair here, you've got like a cloth, like a woven pattern that's in the
Yeah,
normal map. So if you were to
yeah,
take a sample of that as like a tileable material and then tile it like 10 or 15 times
yeah,
and then put it on that surface, all of a sudden the fibers feel more accurately like scaled. Like the surfaces start to look more accurate, just because
right,
they have
right.
that normal information. And
Y-
if you do it on everything, like you've got detail normals for wood grain, you've got detail normals for like pleather materials or leather, like it starts to add up and it really pushes the fidelity where you can't really get that fidelity when you have to keep your
Oh yeah,
bakes really low res or really
I
low
can't.
res. But yeah, yeah, it helps a lot actually.
Yeah, I can't really imagine not using them. To be fair, just
Yeah,
otherwise the props would look really flat.
yeah,
Like here, because you've got the fabric, you can really see that it's fabric. Without the normals, it'd just be a bit of color.
right. And
Um,
so if you're tiling this, are you tiling the fabric normal or is that
yeah, yeah.
yeah? Okay, so then you're using a detail normal.
Okay, well there you go. The more you know.
Now you know the term for it. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's like how you push that fidelity, right? Um,
hmm
and I mean it goes for everything. Like all materials should have something like, oh man, you're even going into designer in here.
Yeah, so it was my first time using Designer,
Yeah.
using trim sheets, using high to low poly baking. I've done a little bit of high and low poly baking. That's probably the one that I was most comfortable with. But trim sheets it was my first attempt. And
Mm.
Substance Designer, it's Substance Designer, man.
Yeah.
What a bit.
Dude, it's I mean I guess there's a reason that that's its own kind of job in itself, right? Um
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's quite a bit of work to do designer stuff. If you get comfortable in it, man, you can do some crazy things really quickly.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
But
some really cool, interesting things as well.
mm, are you so the way you're saying that, it sounds like substance designer and you aren't very much friends.
No,
Yeah.
it's just like I'm just not that good at it because I haven't put that much time into it. I'll
Right.
just get good at it with time. It's all time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all time.
Nice. Okay. And then it looks like you've got a little bit of like prop breakdowns. You've got a sketch fab piece here
Yeah.
and then some UVs. Oh, with the UVs here, just as a quick thing, whenever you can keep things as straight as possible, that'll help you a lot. Just because like as like the resolution of a texture goes down, you'll start to see the stepping of pixels along an angled edge far easier than if a prop is straightened out, or like if the UVs are straightened out in the UV set.
All right. Okay.
So
Oh, that.
whenever possible, yeah, just try and keep them straighter.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, this is really interesting that you've got so you've
But
got
yeah, it's broken
mm,
down too much. I went way overboard with this.
yeah. Is this for the keyboard here?
Yeah, well, that's the entire organ. Yeah. The organ itself took me about just 2 weeks, I think, to make like working on it every day, at least 8 hours a day. 2 weeks.
Oh, but you didn't do this under here.
Oh, don't look over there.
Yeah, don't look down there.
The player doesn't see that. The player doesn't see that. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Rip. Everyone in chat's like rip. No, that's it's fine until like some artist that you don't know is using the prop and just tips it on its side. And then you're
Ah,
like, uh yeah, usually I would say make sure that like because like maybe the bottom's okay. It's like this could be capped, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because basically if you think about it like that, if you're working on like say an open world game or just a game where you need to make the most out of the assets that you're producing because they cost money, right? You
Yeah.
want to make sure that uh, they can be tipped over and reused in tons of different ways.
Wait, is that how you think about it? Assets cost money, as
Yes,
in the time invested in them equals money.
yeah, it a
Okay.
prop costs a certain amount of money. The more complex and the less they're used, the more they
Well,
would
that's
cost.
well,
So the more you
okay.
can reuse the stool, for example,
Yeah.
the better it would be, right?
Yeah. No, definitely.
Well, I'm having like this weird perspective thing going on here with because the edge kind of skews out, but it's actually rounded there.
It is.
But then it's
Yeah.
straight on these sides. That's really interesting.
That's
Yeah, it's really funny is like to go on a very small tangent about that time cost money and all that stuff. Like
yeah.
this bench, the legs curve out like this, right? Like and of course you're gonna want to add a little bit more geometry to it so you can't see the edges.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would benefit for the legs to either be straighter or more general looking because then they become more reusable, which leads
Yes.
to that being reused more without it looking out of place somewhere else.
That's a good
That's
point.
but that doesn't really apply to what you're doing because of,
For this scene
you're
in
building this
particular,
scene. Um man, there's a lot of stuff in here. And
yeah.
it's interesting you're separating out all of your so you've got like fabric wood material. What you'd want to do is compile all of that together into one UV set, right?
Yeah. Definitely. You'd never have that in an actual game, which it's just
Split
crazy.
up like this? No,
No.
it's gonna just be really you're paying for more than you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going off in chat. Like Things like Z up dust, Faltera's talking about. So if you can, like in your shaders, if you could set it up so like dust kind of collects on the tops of everything, it's one of those
Mm.
elements that can help pull everything together.
So for the dust, at least for this scene, I've
Mm,
only put it in the textures themselves. I don't have
right.
any shade setups in Unreal for that sort of thing. Never done it before. I know it's well, I don't actually know how industry standard it is. It's really cool to work with. I've seen it being done, and it's something I definitely want to implement. But
Oh, you're talking
yeah,
about like the dust direction?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, games do that stuff all the time. It's either dust or like that's the best way to do it for snow, for example. If you're not going to be doing snow with geometry, or if you're doing a combination of snow with geometry and then snow on the like the meshes themselves, then you would want to
Oh,
do it with like the Z up,
all right.
plus some other details in the way that the shader is doing it to try and push the fidelity. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
I
that's
thought
very
things like that
common.
would be quite expensive to put into a game.
You'd be surprised. It's probably a cheaper way to do it is through shaders. Moss
Hmm.
is also fatal in chat saying Moss. Moss is also a good way of doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah, I mean, this scene is quite detailed, and I mean, it's more about like how do you like the ceiling piece, for example, looks like it could be a lot of trim sheets versus
Yeah.
like modeled information. Oh man, you did the curtains too. How did you do the curtains? Low poly using optimized modifier.
All the curtains were so easy. I
Yeah.
did the um, what is it? Just a cloth modifier in 3ds Max, and then used the
Hmm.
retopology modifier to just get it low poly.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it's more about like getting that organic feel to them, right? And like the
Yeah.
tension lines to be right. I would say like when I look at it, just making sure that again with the silhouettes that the viewer will see, making sure that you can't count the edges is like the number one.
Mm.
And then it's
Yeah. I think
about like
back
how they
then
shade.
I was trying to be over optimal with my edge count back then.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. But
Well,
nowadays, especially with
it's not a
Nana,
bad thing to be overly optimal about them, but maybe
no, but
within
everyone tells
reason.
me that for portfolio work, you shouldn't really be caring all that much, unless it's obviously don't go up like super crazy on it.
Yeah,
But
it's like
also
I mean, you want
quality.
enough geometry to sell what you're trying to show, right? But you
Yeah,
also don't want to be like, well, it's nanite, so I can just crank it
yeah,
up. Um, but cool. Okay, so we looked at that scene, and I know that you've got the house here. This is from the CGMA course.
yeah. So that's the main reason why I don't like this one is because look at the rocks on the walls. It's just so bad. I just because I hate Substance Designer.
Oh yeah,
Well,
these guys.
they're so bad. Yeah. I also tried using displacement in V5 for the first time.
Oh
I
man,
thought that
yeah.
was cool. Yeah, yeah, I saw you using it on your trim sheets on that
Yeah,
that
it's
that
very
you're working
specific when you would use it. I've learned like with
on.
the trim sheets that the moment you start wrapping it around in ways that you would with normal trim sheets, you start to get these really weird results. So it's very dangerous.
Mm.
You have to keep an eye on it, basically. Um, but yeah, I mean, the thing is like this is more of a learning experience for you, right? And like getting
Oh
the
yeah.
figuring out the bricks and how that all works and doing that through designer. Um, they don't always have to be through designer. You could do it through ZBrush or like I don't know how comfortable you are with sculpting.
I like sculpting, and I haven't made any tileable materials using
Hmm.
ZBrush before, but it sounds like really fun to do. So I would definitely try it sometime. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing you can do is you can sculpt a few stones in ZBrush, and then you can render those out as a height map, and then you can use Designer to scatter them in the formation of bricks.
Mhm. What would you render the height map in?
Just through ZBrush, I would export out
Oh,
the Z depth from it, and that's the same as a height map.
right. I see.
And Substance Designer will actually sample those out automatically for you. If you give it to it like an atlas, it'll figure out how to separate them for you. It's really nice.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to this scene, the things that stick out to me, of course, there's the bricks, right? But then it's like the transition of the grass to the ground and making sure that those kind of match in color tone. That'll help a lot for like kind of melting stuff together. Because generally, I like the grass. It is a little hay-like, but I think if you were to remove, I don't know, half of the blades and the texture itself, you would just need
Yeah,
to add more cards, but then it would look more natural and not really give itself away as geometry.
that's true. I had a lot of blades in my cards.
Yeah, it's weird because it feels kind of counterintuitive. You're like, well, if I remove more, then it'll look even crazier. But it starts to hide the fact that it is on like a card or on like low poly geometry.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
but
if you separate them out, then they don't look as bunched up, and then you can place them around each other, and they start to look more natural and kind of softer.
okay, yeah, that's a really good tip there.
And the trees feel a little dark. I don't know if that's like I would need to see
Oh,
this in albedo, maybe.
no, don't bother. The tree barks don't even have a texture.
No. I mean that'll do it.
Yeah.
But you linked a scene that you're working on now, and I recognize that scene.
Yeah, you critiqued it. I even have a screenshot still. Might be able to find it.
Yeah, this is from what I remember, this is a pretty nice improvement. But
Hmm.
what is there anything in particular that you wanted me to kind of focus on when it came to this?
Mm, do you? Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit lost here with
Yeah,
this scene.
with this scene.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you could
kind of trying to
breathe. What?
fight the balance of
Hmm.
negative space and space noise, but not too noisy. Because I don't know if you remember the references. I might link
Yes,
you
I
them.
do remember those.
Yeah, it was quite a busy Arab kind of street. Loads of markets.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what I want to sell here, but at the same time, don't make it too noisy where there's nothing to rest an eye on.
Right. Okay, so there's a few questions in chat as well. So do you intend to have your own characters in here, or
I
is
would
that just
love
for
to.
scale? Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to, but I'm crap at characters.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not going to do them. No, it's
What
the environment itself is already going to take a long time. I'm making
I would
characters
see if online if there's any characters that would work that exist. Or this sounds crazy as well. Try your hand at like really simple photogrammetry of just
okay.
scanning people dressed up, and then you just have to make them fit in color wise, like the color of the clothing, and making sure that the values are matching with the scene that you're building. Um,
Wait. Um, but do you mean just what are those people wearing? Because they would have
that's what
to
I'm
wear
saying.
the right
You might have to get creative, depending on like how out of place they feel, like color
Mhm.
wise, or like if you're like where you said you're in the UK.
Yeah.
Like, I would literally just take pictures of friends with different types of clothing. And maybe if the clothing isn't pattern heavy or like contrast heavy, then you can actually in Photoshop paint on top of those colors and kind of change the colors
Well,
yourself.
what if you don't have any friends? What do you do then? No, I'm
You need
joking.
a mirror, man. But I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do. The other thing is like is it Maximo? Maximo does,
Mm,
I think it's
I've had a
free
look now.
character posing, and you could
Yeah,
make
I've
the
had a look.
characters completely black so they're just like silhouettes, and that
Uh-huh.
alone would give you scale and a sense of space.
Mm, okay, right.
Grizzle
Right.
so Grizzlewood says to go to Greg's and just pap
Go to
randoms.
Greg's. you know what? I work at a pizza place, so I think I'll just ask the customers every time they want a pizza, they'll need to take a picture first.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I went to a Greg's when I was in the UK for the Empire meetup. That was the first time and only time I've been to a Greg's. It was interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did you have the classic sausage roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was told to get, and I was like,
Yeah, and what's your experience?
I mean, it seemed all right. I was like,
Yes,
yeah, seems
they're
fine.
all. I don't know, man.
I
The
have no
Brits go
idea if
crazy.
that's what caused me to feel the way I felt like hours later, but you know.
Oh, were you not feeling too well afterwards?
No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
Um, okay, if we look at this scene, if you feel like you're lost on it and you don't know like where to go and like how to deal with it. First of all, I would look at there's one or two things that I'm seeing compositionally that are kind of calling out to me. So this overhang on the right side is like has this tangent line with the arch. So
Yeah.
if you just
But I
push
was
that,
actually thinking of removing it altogether, you know. I feel like it takes up too much space, or maybe leave it but make it a bit smaller or hmm.
so you're scared of adding too much noise, right? If you hide that or get rid of it, I bet there's a lot of detail behind it.
Mm, it's a little bit.
Yes, maybe more than the surface that is there now.
I can share my screen if you want, the
Yeah,
Unreal
yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, because the only other thing I would say, go ahead and share your screen, and I'll bring it over here in a second. Um, the other thing I would say is to get a sense of the space and the feeling, and maybe like excite yourself a bit more into like building the scene up, because maybe it's starting to feel a bit daunting. Is to just get some general colors in there, because that'll give you a sense of the space. Like what are the colors of the awnings? What are the color of the food or the color of the ground? General colors of the building and stuff like that. That alone will do a lot for like helping you visualize the scene.
Hmm. Sounds scary, but okay.
It's just flat colors and a roughness value that feels right to the surface you're
Hmm.
thinking about. But yeah, did you want to share your screen? I don't know if you wanted to tour
Yeah,
around it a little bit.
it's just loading up. I'll share it when it's loaded
Cool.
because I don't have Unreal open.
But yeah, I wonder. Right now, you have your large shapes in, and the like all of the infrastructure details. And then you have your awnings, which I would say are almost infrastructure. They're more of like the medium large details. And then you have your smaller details, which are like the pieces of wood that are sticking out on the tops of the buildings, and the tables with all of the market feeling to it. Um, I feel like it's missing more medium stuff and more small stuff. And maybe you have a lot of small
Yeah,
stuff and it's just a matter of reusing the hell out of it. Like just go nuts with the stuff that you've already built. Like where could like maybe there's one stand that all they do is sell pots. So you use
yeah,
all your pots in different sizes and stuff.
yeah. I've got a whole day free tomorrow, which is what I was actually going to do. With
Nice.
my 3 day, just fill the scene up. So it's worth mentioning that for this scene, I've actually got a mentor from that's just finished working on Dead Island 2, Thomas Walker. Shout out to the legend himself. He's helping me out with this scene. I'm doing a meeting with him about like once a week. We're
Oh,
just going
nice.
over the next steps. Yeah, man, I'm so lucky. I'd got to know him through one of my lecturers at uni, so I'm incredibly lucky in
Dude,
that
that's
regards.
awesome.
I know, I know. But yeah, so he's amazing. He's been helping me out a lot. I don't know, probably would. I don't know what I would have done without him, to be honest. But
It's all
yeah.
about people reaching out and helping each other. This the industry
That's
thrives on that stuff.
that's why your community's so good, man. Honestly, if whenever I see any students in uni now, because sometimes I'll go back, I'll talk to a couple of people or watch a lecture if anyone from the industry comes in. First thing I tell them is join the Dynasty server. Like it's the best thing you can do for yourself
I wonder how that
because it's
happens.
so active.
Because occasionally
What
there's
do you
like
mean?
this huge burst of people, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
Ah,
someone like mentioned the." It happens occasionally, and you're like, "Oh, cool. All right. Hello."
yeah. Thank me later. Free promos. Right, sharing the screen now.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm gonna pop the stream out. Okay. Cool.
Tell me if it's all good.
Yeah, you're all good. I've got it on the on stream as well. So
Yeah, so it's got some nice. Well, there's supposed to be spices. I think I can definitely add a lot more pots along this wall. So if we hide this, actually, let me go to the camera. Hide. I've got some of these as
yeah.
well, but I think they're probably. Tom was telling me, the mentor, to remove these because they're adding too much noise. So, oh, that.
Mm. They can
Yeah.
be
So,
nice if you localize them to a certain area, right? They can be used to
yeah,
help sell another area of the market.
I've
But I can
played with
see what
them
he's
a
talking
lot, and I
about.
just
Yeah.
can't. I can't get them to feel right. Like I've played with them so much, I just feel like I'm not going to be able to get them to feel right. But maybe once I go into Marvelous Design and make them feel a bit
Mm.
better.
So for me, I really like them, but I can see what he's talking about with them cutting the space. Like it's like cutting the space in half.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would don't forget about them because I do like what they do. Maybe right now they just feel a bit random in the directions that they're going. But dude, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, if you put colors like the spice rack things that you've built,
Mm.
man, getting some colors in there, holy cow, that would do like crazy amounts of information. And all of
Mm.
the cups and like pots and stuff that you have, I
Mm.
feel like you need maybe one more large one, and you actually have all the pots you would need for the entire scene. Because you could
Mm.
just go into the material and shift the colors around a little bit and rearrange them in different ways and put them on tables and low tables, and like you could even take that table you have now, duplicate it and push it halfway into the ground in front of it, and now you have like another layer,
Yeah.
and no one will ever know. You could just put stuff on top of it, and no one would ever know that that's pushed into the ground.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because pretty much all the references have a second table in front. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah, someone was asking about the references
Let's
in
pull the references up.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got
go for it.
like
I
good
think they're really
Pura.
cool.
Do you like my Pura? So originally, for anyone thinking, I found out that Mirage, Assassin's Creed Mirage, was coming out, so I based it off of this. This was, I'll show you actually the first scene. So this is what it looked like. Oh, come on. Uh,
Oh man, you have like another level.
I think that might just be a backup.
Yeah.
So yeah, because this is the second iteration of the environment. It looked a lot closer to this concept that I was
Right.
going for at the beginning, but it wasn't looking the way. Oh, there you go. So that's what it looked like. So I
Oh
think if you
man, that's
compare
cool.
this to what I have now, it looks a lot better now. Even though this it's not bad, right?
I mean
But
the arch,
it's not
dude,
as good.
that roundish archway, that's really intriguing. This is also very
Like
strong, honestly.
you think,
Yeah.
stop it, mate! You're making me blush.
So what I'm noticing in this scene that you're doing in the other scene as well is you see where your doorways are at.
Yeah,
Those could go like you need to cut a hole into the wall and actually push those into the building because
yeah. So
they
like
feel like
I've done it
paintings
here, but
otherwise, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's just kind of slapped on top, isn't it?
Yeah, it was something I used to
Bit
do a
more
lot
like,
when I was younger.
oh really?
Yeah, it's a common thing that you see, and then someone calls it out, and then it quits happening.
So yeah, I just wanted to show that
But
yeah,
dude, this is
or no.
it's definitely come along, and I think
Oh yeah.
they were talking about in chat as well that there's a really good series on ArtStation for shader stuff. Here, I'll close. I'm gonna bring this over here. I
Mm.
don't know if you're gonna show anything else, um, but there's a really good course
No,
on
no.
ArtStation about being able to set up shaders for swapping colors around. So you could just basically make a instance shader that you can swap colors around and whatnot. That way, it's easy to swap colors without having to try and UV them or anything like that.
Oh yeah, if you're just adding colours, you don't need UVs. But
Yeah,
why would you need a special shader for that? Can't you just make a material instance and change the colour?
that's part of it. So like you can material instance and then just swap the colors around. There's
Yeah.
other ways to do it as well where it's like it's a little bit more technical, I guess. And I've actually never done it, but basically it could be the same shader and then you can change the color on the fly without having to make a material instance. And each version of it is different.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's material. It's like shader cache data or tag data. I forget the name of it, but there, I'm sure there's some tutorials. I maybe I can find that on my own and then link it to you. But yeah, the other
Yeah.
thing is like what Fatal's talking about, the course that Decagon does. The colors change as you move them, so you can just give it selections of colors, and they'll always be
Ah,
changing as you move the thing around.
yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think we're on the tail end because I need to do one more review. But is there anything that you wanted me to?
Yeah, you can reassure me. So, as an environment artist who's just graduated last July,
Mm,
am I doing okay so far? Do I not need to stress out?
I mean, are you? Do you have to pay lots of bills,
Well, rent and utility bills, I
rent and
guess.
utility,
That's
and you're working
that's
as
about
well?
£800. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm working full time. Yeah.
Okay. Then no, you don't have to stress. It's like as long as you can keep living, you're in a good spot and you can keep pushing. Because like where I see you right now is you're right on that edge where everyone's getting ready to jump into the pool and like full on swim. So you understand how to swim. You're doing
Yeah.
all of the work and details that you need to be doing, and it's just a matter of executing on your
Yeah.
next piece. Because like I think the scene that you're working on now will be the strongest of all of the stuff that's in your portfolio currently, and it
Oh, that.
to me, I think it will all hinge on your material definition because your modeling is fine. The modeling looks good.
Yeah. I've always liked my modeling. It's just the texturing that I kind of
Mm.
dislike.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean,
like,
dude, don't hesitate to take like one of the props in the scene. If you need like a breather from the scene, just take like the spice
mm,
rack and start trying to actually texture it to like the to what you feel like is the final state, and just start dropping it in the server for critiques and push it into the Discord critiques that I have on stream because
hmm.
it'll just take I don't know, maybe like a few feedback points to highlight key elements that will affect the way that you like work on your materials just generally. And that'll upgrade the entire scene as you start to move forward. That's why critiques and feedback are so important.
Oh yeah. When you did that one critique for me on this scene, it was, yeah. You said a lot. To be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Hopefully, sounds like it was helpful. So that's good.
No, definitely. Yeah.
But cool.
So Sunday time, guys. You be looking out in the critiques chat. I'll be posting this scene again. You can tell me what you
Oh,
think.
nice. Awesome. Yeah. Don't hesitate to tag me as well. I don't mind. It doesn't. I have windows of time that my phone will ping me information. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I
You're
have it.
busy, man.
I have it go into blackout and then it'll open up again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, just before we finish,
Yeah.
thank you very much for what you do for the environment art community. We all appreciate you, or not just environment art, but just art, games art in general. So,
Oh, dude. Thank you. It's yeah, it's addicting. I enjoy this way too much. I'm not crying, you're crying. Uh, no, thank you very much.
no worries at all. Well, good luck to the next person being reviewed.
Yeah, no
We've seen
roasting,
some good
right? No
portfolio
roasting.
so far. Oh no, no. Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, just light roasting.
Yeah.
Light roast. It's a good taste. But all right, dude. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions as well afterwards, and I'll see if
Yeah,
I can find
absolutely.
any stuff on the shader things if you don't find them.
Yeah, if you can do that would be lovely.
Cool. All right, man.
Super. Thank you very much for your time then, mate. Have a
Yeah.
good one.
Talk to you later.